Chair, I'd like to, can I please switch off my video if that's okay with you, Chair?
Fine.
Thank you. Chair, I've got two questions only, and then I'm out of your hair. Chair, firstly, I'd like to welcome the reports that were given to us, Chair, by the department, by TCTA, and by the Water Research Commission, Chair. Well appreciated, and I think that they were all very well formulated. Chair, I've got two issues, and I'd like to agree with the previous speaker. I think Honorable Ramaila said it very well, that the outputs do not match the outcomes. I'd like to particularly just zone into the allocations towards the regional infrastructure projects. Chair, I've got a particular issue with, the Polokwane Wastewater Regional project, which has significantly delayed. It has exceeded its budget, and it still remains incomplete, yet we have an allocation that is going towards it at this very moment, Chair. That is worrisome for me. What it says to me is that the department continuously allocates and funnels funds to municipalities, and municipalities do not complete their projects, but instead of completing them, they will wait for additional funds. On top of not being complete, Chair, it has so far incurred standing time payments of 2.2 million. And this is due to the Polokwane, the district municipalities' inability to plan, to budget, and to coordinate issues. Another issue, Chair, is also the Sekhukhune projects as well, where there are 3 reservoirs that were intended to be completed in 2021. They remain incomplete, but 97% of the budget that's allocated to it has been spent. And I'm willing to bet my last cent on it that the department will be allocating funds towards this project so that it's completed. I would like to know, how do we recover these funds that have went to municipalities, but projects remain undone and incomplete? And when you say that you are taking conditional grants to it, what conditions are there when municipalities continue to delay significant and key infrastructure projects, but they have that money that's completely spent? So for me, that's what I'd like to know from the department. Honorable Ramaila is completely correct to say that the output that we are seeing on the APPs is that there is money that's going towards this, but money does not miraculously complete projects and ensure that key infrastructure projects are completed on the ground. Our people don't have water, and we continue to approve budgets that go to these municipalities. So for me, I'd just like those specific answers. And Chair, as well as the green drop, blue drop, and no drop reports, I can see that there's an allocation that has increased, Chair, and we welcome this. I also welcome the reports that were tabled this year, finally, after years of these reports not being made available to the public. But my issue is that we've got increased funds that go towards the reporting, but how will we know that these funds that are allocated to it will translate to tangible improvements to these water service authorities? And also, Chair, we want to know if there will be consequence management that will be effected from the reports that we have received currently, and if the assessments from the report will actually speak to consequence management within these water service authorities and wastewater projects. We want the water quality to be improved, but we don't have specific plans. Yet we've got more money that's allocated towards the reports that will be tabled. So for me, I just want the current reports that we have, they must translate to tangible outcomes, and how we're ensuring that now they are producing tangible outcomes so that we can improve, we can approve the increment. Therefore, it can't just be reporting for the sake of reporting. It must translate to tangible improvements to our water quality. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister.
Chairperson, thank you very much. The 2 questions that Honorable Gobe asked were very specific to Polokwane and Sekhukhune. What I will then ask is the acting DDG, I know that we had intervened in Polokwane, to perhaps in brief give details around that intervention, as well as the acting DDG, if you do have information on the issue of Sekhukhune in terms of those projects, if you could respond to those as well. Thank you.
Thank you, DM. Thank you. On the Polokwane one, the first part, I think Honorable Kobe is correct. There have been delays and challenges in terms of the wastewater upgrade and refurbishment there, which were funded by our RB component. However, what has happened, Chair and DM, is that while we funded the first part of the upgrade and the refurbishment of those wastewater systems, of recent, you would have seen that there's an approval on the blended finance component, the BFI, the Budget Facility for Infrastructure, on the Polokwane wastewater schemes, part of which is to address bulk of the main challenges that Honorable Kobe has indicated. On our budget allocation, yes, there are limitations, and yes, the project upgrades and refurbishment took time, but we took the option to advise the municipality, and we supported them through our infrastructure fund to submit for the budget facility, which National Treasury has actually allocated. And this year, they will be getting the first tranche to address some of those. In terms of the delayed invoices, payment, and so, we will have to get the proper details on that. But however, we can just give this information for now, and we can be able to supplement with more clearer details on what Honorable Kobe has indicated. On the Sekhukhune side, she could not indicate the specifics of those reservoirs, of those projects, but I have actually asked the provincial head, she's on the platform, to get us details of those specific reservoirs. But what we can say is that while we do allocate a project, funding for specific municipalities like Sekhukhune to be precise, we do monitor the expenditure of those grants. What we have experienced, Honorable Kobe, I think you're quite aware, you've been on the ground quite a lot. It's some of these procurement processes which, when we allocate budgets, they do delay to start off the project. And when the project starts, at times they are delayed due to maybe SMMEs on the ground. This results in a serious price escalations. And what the contractor will have priced at the start of the project, the more the project gets delays, the more price escalations happens. And we end up readjusting the budget to ensure we cover for such costs. And the question you've asked is, what are the actions that we take to address that? Where we are identifying non-performance issues, we do take away the grant, we convert it from direct to indirect grant, and we appoint implementing agents to implement those projects on our behalf, so that we try and deal with such challenges on the ground. But be as it may, Chair, I think we can be able to get more details on that. But on the delay project as well, there's issues of monitoring and evaluation. A couple of pump stations we know in Sekhukhune had an issue, and there were 2 projects basically that were prioritized for them in that area. So we'll have to get more details. We can supplement that information, Chair, if we are allowed to bring it later. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. If we can get that within 14 days, I would appreciate. What about the consequence management?
Chairperson, my apologies. I was going to ask for clarity from Honorable Kobe on whether the consequence management question was on the green drop report that was released a few weeks ago by the department, if that is in actual fact how I understood it.
Yes, I also understood it that way. Honorable Kobe?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, yes, that's how I meant it, Chair. And also the DDG, the acting DG, did not touch on the consequence management and cost recovery that we have incurred in terms of the regional wastewater project in Polokwane. I would like to know, how are we recovering those costs, the 2.2 million that we have, before we give them the 2.1 billion? How are we recovering the 2.1 million that they incurred because of their own incompetence? Thank you.
I think in that we have now requested Honorable Kobe that they give us within 14 days a full report on that.
Right.
Can we then deal with the green drop, the consequence management on green drop, Deputy Minister?
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. Acting DG, if DDG Zwane is present on the platform, I would like for him to touch on our enforcement action that we have taken against municipalities that have defaulted in as far as Section 19 and 20 of the National Water Act is concerned, are criminal cases that we've opened against municipalities in respect of addressing the issue of the green drop, if that is possible. Is he there, DDG?
We have Annette in here with us, DM. She
Yes,
will
please.
address the question.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Annette, please.
Thank you, DM. Good afternoon, Chairperson and honourable members. As per the Green Drop report release, municipalities that have scored critical performance in terms of their Green Drop scores, so below 31%, is given 60 days to provide us with corrective action plans. Similar to what we did with the previous reports, municipalities then have opportunity to look at their key performance areas where they've not performed well, to provide us with corrective action plans for implementation to address the performance in the municipalities. In terms of non-compliance, when corrective action plans are not being submitted or are not being implemented and it results in pollution, specifically for the green drop, the department then also has administrative enforcement powers under the National Water Act, where we then move to notices and directives under Section 19, where the municipality then again has an opportunity to provide us with the corrective action plan and submit those. When there's a failure to do that, the department then opens criminal cases against our municipalities. There's also obviously administrative justice procedures that is required. So currently we have about 53 water services authorities facing criminal charges and investigations from the department through our environmental management inspectors. So that is in terms of what we can do in terms of consequence.
Papa, let's go the documents.
Can you please mute?
Cornelius. Manama.
Can the Honourable Cornelius just mute? Thank you, Deputy Minister. My concern is with the response that we have received now is that it's good and well, you've done all the paperwork and now there's 6 months past and this pollution continues. You don't stop the pollution, you send directives, you go to court or you go and lay criminal charges. But then the pollution in the meantime still continues. We need to address that and get a way of stopping that pollution. Deputy Minister?
Yeah, Honourable Chairperson, I take the point, and that's probably my biggest bone of contention. But that is why we're also amending the National Water Act in order to introduce those personal liability towards mayors and MMs as far as pollution is concerned. The biggest concern that we've raised also in the portfolio committee is the extent to which, or the time period that it takes for us to be able to get, a conviction or a decision from any of the cases that we've opened against municipalities, and quite correctly, or to the frustration of many communities of the ongoing pollution that persists, whilst we are of course focused on that particular action. So that is, I don't know, Annette, if you perhaps want to touch on that. It is an issue that I'm dealing with personally, Chair. We will be having a meeting again tomorrow just to go over some of the processes that we can also undertake in as far as addressing that issue is concerned. Annette?
Thank you, Dim. Chair, 100% agreed with you. So the green drop reports as well as the blue drop and no drop reports also feed into the sector support. The reprioritization of some of these projects are also then done where we can then reprioritize our municipal infrastructure grant funding with COCTA, the human settlement development grant with human settlements, and then obviously the RBGN with SIF grants. Because compliance and enforcement.
Deputy Minister, can I just allow her to continue, then I'll come back to you?
Thank you. In terms of the delays with compliance and enforcement, this is also what assisted with the triggering of the reforms under the Water Services Act, and the introduction of a licensing system for water services providers so that we have a competency requirement for water services providers, and to separate the water services authority function from the water services provider function. Because it takes too long and the results that we see for criminal enforcement is not sufficient, it leads to plea and sentence agreements, and still it doesn't put the infrastructure back in place. So it's the support function and the getting the grants to work with the key problems are. It's getting the licensing system for the water services provider function in place, because we cannot continue running the way we do. Compliance and enforcement has its role, but it's not the silver bullet in the scenario.
Thank you, Deputy Minister Matlobo. Do you want to add something?
No, Chair, I think we're going to have an internal discussion, like you say. We'll support DMC Sihlolo because that's what the delegation is. What we are saying, Chairperson, the team is missing it. There are two issues. One of the issues that when pollution happens, ordinarily the authority must be able to issue an instruction that the pollution must stop. If it doesn't stop that pollution, we can go and stop it ourselves. But after stopping that pollution, we must have the capacity to actually go and recover that particular money. That thing is there in the law. Those issues around the remedial action that we need to do. One of the things that internally we have to be able to come out much, much clearer, Chairperson, as you know, we've been in the space for too long, is this thing that is called the waste charge discharge system. That's the money that we must be able to charge those people who are license holders. Let's go back internally. Let's look at that because the polluter must be able to pay. But if the pollution continues and it continues unabated, we as the authority, we must come in, fix the problem, recover the cost. That's what the law says. The administrative issue about long processes, firstly, is a notice, it's a directive, it's too long. And that particular process in terms of Administrative Justice Act, while the pollution is happening, we should be able to find that balance. I thought we should be able to come on that point. It still remains a gray area, and it's an area that we must prioritize in dealing with this ongoing pollution. Other than these people who are taking to court, that is taking much longer. But there and there, the immediate response, like an incident response when it comes to pollution. Let's prioritize the issues of waste charge discharge system. We then, in the past 2 to 3 financial years, we did some pilots. We must roll out in the entire country so that we have the money in the kit, Honorable Person, as you know, to deal with the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. I think it should not be a tick box exercise where we this document and then the next, and then we go to court whilst we are still polluting our rivers. And I would appreciate if we can, if you can come back to this. I think this is a discussion on the Green Drop report that it is something that we need to spend a day with the department, because pollution is critical for the country's water resources that we've got to protect. So can we maybe we'll try and set up a meeting with the department concerning the Green Drop and the Blue Drop report, but I think it is critical, as Deputy Minister Sihlolo says, also that internally you've got to look at that. It should not just be a tick box exercise. Honourable Kobe, that was the responses on this matter. I think it's not the end of this. We need to deal with this matter going forward.